Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that discusses comic books, movies, TV shows, and we typically feature a beer of the week. If you're joining us from last week, guess what? Today is part 2 of our Marvel Phase 4 wrap up with Sean Mott from the Metalcore Nerds Podcast. Great time with Sean, and it was such a big episode that we had to do it in 2. So go ahead. Subscribe to us, leave a 5-star review on any podcasting platform. Apple, you can drop a review. Spotify, you can leave a 5-star review. That's how the podcast grows. And share with a friend, of course. If you also want to find us on social media, go ahead, Hops Geek News on any social media platform. And we are also on what's called GIG now, which is Global Indie Group. And what that is essentially a place where artists can find writers and they can find editors and podcasters to promote their indie comic books and things of that nature. So go ahead, go to globalindiegroup.com. You will find us there as well. Pretty exciting announcement that we just recently came out with. And today I actually do have a beer of the week. Dry January is over and your boy is back in the game. And I thought this beer, first of all, I'm coming in like Turbo Man. So I wore my Roosevelt's Turbo Man shirt. If this is like my white whale of Roosevelt, so I'm glad I found it, number 1. And I had to match that energy with the beer I picked, which is from J. Wakefield Brewing. It is called Hold It Now, Hit It. Yes, Hold It Now, Hit It. It's got a fighter jet on the can with an Imperial logo on it. So I thought, what better way, since Lauren has been putting up with me just drinking water and coffee. She's been holding it down for us. This is a
taking one for the team.
Yes, somebody had to do it. Somebody, and this is a double dry hopped triple India Pale Ale coming in at 9%. J. Wakefield out of Florida. Nice, delicious color. If you're on YouTube as well. This is where we do all sorts of cool things. And in addition to that, we got our press pass today for Emerald City Comic Con, which is taking place in Seattle.
Tape.
Yeah, it is rad. Mark Ruffalo is an example of people that you'll be finding at this Comic Con. So a lot of great things happening. A lot of great things. I'm super excited. Great day to be alive. Lauren, what are you drinking on this wonderful episode?
So I am drinking a fun collab. I'm cleaning my glasses right now. But I loved that beer. I thought that was great. I know. Usually I have my daughter do it because she says I just smear the smudges around, but she actually cleans them. So this is an Imperial Berliner Weiss from Ellipsis Brewing and Tactical Brewing. Both are superb and phenomenal breweries here in Orlando. And since our opening segments are going to involve a lot of what is coming in the DC universe, and then we're going to be talking about Marvel in Phase 4, it's two amazing things that are combined into one episode. So I have a beer that's two amazing breweries in Orlando combined into one beer. So when I first pulled this out, I was like, oh, this is a fun can and this is perfect. Then I was like, oh, I thought it was an IPA. So I was a little bummed. It's an Imperial Berliner Weiss. And then I tried it.
Trash. Throw it away. It's not in New England.
It's amazing. It is a Belgium waffle with berries and a fresh cup of coffee. It's what it says on it. It is so good.
You combine my two favorite things on this planet, coffee and waffles, into a beer?
That's all it says on here. I need to look it up. It's only 6%.
My heavens.
It's called Waffle Saurus. And so I'll post one on the Instagram if you're not on the YouTube, but it's got some pretty artwork. My daughter was taking pictures with 11 next to it because of the waffle. But this is really good. It's nice and smooth. It's a little bit sweet, but it's not overly puckery. I don't think I really get any coffee. I get like berries. I definitely get berries, but usually like a berry sour is like punch you in the mouth, like tart. And this is not. This is really good.
Excellent, man. Waffles and coffee, my two favorite things. Shout out to Waffle House. Love you.
Yeah, I almost feel like maybe a hint of coffee on the end, but I would not have picked that out if I hadn't seen coffee on it. So it could be in my head.
You know, that reminds me, this beer too, you know, it's a triple IPA, but it doesn't taste like it's a 9%. It tastes more like it's probably like a 7%. It's a really smooth drinker, which is pretty rare because if you know anything about beer and IPA or, you know, just stronger ABV beers, you tend to taste like the alcohol, especially in some of the stouts that get up to 12, 13%. At that point, you're just drinking wine. But yeah, this one is a really light drinker. I'm very surprised. It's very delicious, like wicked good. And I'm stoked to dig into. I promise you I'm not an alcoholic, everybody. I know, despite like, I've been waiting 30 days. No, like that's not what it's about. It's just about tasting flavors, talking with my friends, and trying new things. So that's why I like the beer world. So
it has maple in it too.
Oh, dude, on my way. I'm taking Turbo Man's jetpack. I'm coming. Jamie.
Oh, good. It says we teamed up with our friends at Tactical and came up with a waffle-inspired sour served with fresh berries, maple, and coffee. If I sniff really hard, I do get a little hint of coffee.
She's over here doing lines of her beer. So. Well, anyways, that's what we're drinking. Let's roll into while Lauren does that. All right. So we're going to roll into what we messed up in and looked into. Lauren, you had something. The rest of our stuff is supernatural. So just listen to our supernatural bonus episodes if that's your thing, because that is where the rest of our mess ups belong.
Or just looking more so into. So if you are curious about the history of Croatoan, you can learn about it on our most recent Supernatural bonus episode. So we were talking about on our last episode with Sean, we were talking about how once you're famous, you can just do whatever you want. You write a comic book, you can write a song, you can write, Umbrella Academy, you can do it you want. And so I was like, oh, I think Elliot from ET wrote a comic book. That is not correct. Maybe it is, but I don't know. I was thinking of Ralph Macchio. And so there was a comic I was reading. It was Eternals and it said Ralph Macchio. But then when I Googled Ralph Macchio, there's a totally different Ralph Macchio that is not the Karate Kid that works at Marvel. So I was like double wrong.
Interesting.
All right. There you go. The more you know.
The more you know, kids, okay? The more you know. It's pretty interesting. Well, there's a lot of news that came out this week. Did you happen to catch any of that news that came out this week? We had a couple little bit going on. Nothing major other than, well, of course, before we get there though, I'm sorry. I got to redo this. I'm a mess. What am I doing? Oh my God. So, of course, let's go into what we've been reading or watching. I've been watching Supernatural. I am just about to wrap up season 2, which we will talk about on our bonus episode. But, of course, we've both been watching The Last of Us. So, spoiler alert. In 3, 2, 1. That episode is beautiful. That episode. Wow. So, to give you guys some backstory, if you have not played the video game, Bill and Frank are in it, right? However, you don't get this backstory expanded. Bill,
I saw the clip.
Yeah, so Bill and Joel know each other. They go to, fun fact, the school they go to is in Lincoln, Massachusetts. I've played basketball at that. Anyways, that whole town, Lincoln, is where it's supposed to be. And I've played basketball. I had friends grow up there. And it doesn't look anything like that. But in the games,
Stephen King called them out, like that everybody's giving him shit that this is not 10 miles west of Boston.
Yes, so it's 10 miles. The whole 10 miles west of Boston thing was hilarious. I had to rib, right? I had to put out a meme that was Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't Dunkin' Donuts, but that's the point. Whatever, it's fun. Nothing's going to be accurate. And in the game, they go to this gym to get the car battery and all of that kind of stuff to get the car, so Joel can get the car. And that's where they find Frank, and Frank's hanging. Frank's dead. Frank was in this gym. Apparently, Bill and Frank had a falling out, and Bill was like, he was my partner. And so that's that. And so what the TV show did beautifully was expand on that. You had Bill, this raging libertarian who was waiting for the apocalypse. The day it happened, this man goes to Home Depot. He sets up this whole perimeter. Man, if I could live with Bill, I would live with Bill because he was living a good life. This man was eating deer steak dinners. He had electricity. He was just vibing his ass off. And it got deeper. So Frank, fun fact, is actually played in White Lotus season 1, and I didn't recognize him at first, and he does a really good job in that. But Ron Swanson, man, that's all I can think of is Ron Swanson when Bill's on screen. And so, man, what is
somebody said this is just Ron Swanson gets a boyfriend.
Like it was because it literally is.
You could see it being Ron Swanson because he plays somewhat of a similar character in Parks and Rec.
The government really are all funny. Nazis.
It's like, well, they weren't then. He's like, they are Nazis. That was funny.
Then they are now.
In the clip I saw from the game, though, it sounded like Frank had gotten bit, and that's why.
Yeah, he hung himself.
He did what he did to himself. But yeah, because he didn't want to turn.
Poor Bill. Imagine finding your soulmate in the apocalypse, and it's somebody who would have absolutely ran 5Ks on Thanksgiving morning. He had him running laps. He's like, "Come on, I got to show you something. Just one more lap." But
and then at the end, when you see the wheelchair, you just kind of assume it's going to be Bill because he was the one that wasn't as in shape, and it's not.
No. It was just beautifully. It showed that love could persevere in the apocalypse of all places, right? In unsuspecting ways. and they had what 14 3 years and 4 years, some
It was 2007 to 2023, so 16 years.
they had like 16 years of life together, and they had to learn to live together. They didn't get to see anybody else
Just
besides
the two of them,
right.
too. Yeah, that's like COVID right there.
They got Joel and Ellie
for 16 years.
Everybody during
with
COVID,
no Zoom.
Exactly. Everybody during COVID was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't. Well, imagine doing it for 16 years. And oh, by the way, there are raging fungus zombies out there trying to eat you. And then, oh, by the way, you wake up one night because there are people trying to break into your territory. And yeah, the way they communicate through the radio and everything. And they didn't have to say anything between Joel and Bill's relationship. It was that letter that Bill wrote that pushed him. Yeah,
So there was a TikTok. I wish I could like share it. Maybe we can try to find it and share it on our TikTok that somebody made that I was crying laughing, and it's Ellie reading the he, and then it cuts to Ron Swanson with his little giggle he, and then he's running away going he.
It was amazing in every way.
So funny.
But yeah, no, it was their last night together. They had wine. Like, first of all, I want Bill's wine cellar. Holy crap.
How much wine do you have to have the last 16 years in the apocalypse?
Oh my God. He went everywhere and just looted wine and all that. Like, that's my man, right? I'd live there too. But just the window being open, and then the letter led Bill or Joel to be like, all right, this is my mission. And I'm going to take Ellie and we're going to do this together. And they got the car, and it was beautiful, man.
I would have liked to see Ellie and Bill together though.
Oh,
and somebody asked, I always want to call him Ron Swanson. Someone asked Nick Offerman in an interview if him and Ellie had been together, like what would have that like relationship or dynamic been, and he compared it to Ron Swanson and April.
Yeah, and I thought absolutely
that was perfect. So I love that.
One thing,
and I love his wife too, Megan. Oh, she's so funny.
One thing I do wish that we have gotten. So there's a point in the game where they're driving in the car, and people, the bigots are out in force on our YouTube.
Oh, is this the porn mag?
Everybody's like, oh, he's not gay in the game. First of all, he calls Frank his partner. Second of all, Ellie finds a gay porn mag.
Maybe it was his business partner.
Ellie finds a gay porn mag, and she makes a joke with it. She's like, oh, why are the pages stuck together and all that? So come on, Bill, come on. They just expanded on his story. So don't be that person. Don't come on our YouTube and spout your bullshit, because I'm not having it. Lauren's not having it. Nobody's having it.
I just ignore that crap. Oh, you know what? Somebody commented one time on I posted a picture with my Namor toy, and which is from the movie, not from the comic book. So it's movie accurate, not comic book accurate. And they commented, in the comics, Namor's white. I didn't even give the time of day. I wanted to be like
37 when he was made. Everybody was white.
Well, I wanted to be like, oh, I know, but I love how they introduced Aztec culture into this, and I thought that was a great way. And and I mean, he's Atlantean and half human, so I don't even engage. There's no point. You're not converting people like that.
No,
they want you to take the bait. So whatever.
Yeah,
beautiful love story. Both of them nailed it. I hope we see. Honestly, that was the first time I've ever seen the Frank character.
Yeah,
but I would love
season 1.
Okay, I would love to see just Nick Offerman in these other roles too, because.
Can we get like a spin-off show of what they did for 16 years? Like, I would just watch. I just watch them
like
sit and
comedy?
read the Bible together or something. You know, like give me. If we're doing spin-off shows, that's number 1 on my list. Like priority
Where's
number
Feige?
1.
Get him in there, and that can be a sitcom. It'll be like the She-Hulk.
But okay, so Last of Us. If you have slept on that, or I mean, hopefully you.
We ruined some, but honestly, we're not ruining.
We didn't really ruin a whole lot. I mean, if you're still listening and you were like, what? Oh my God. HBO Max. Trust me, go to HBO Max. The ratings keep rising. It even rose by like 33 or 37% on the 3rd episode. It's crushing. Absolutely.
It's crushing. So good. So many friends that are into different things are watching it, and they're all loving it.
It's a zombie story, but it's different. And if
based on a video game,
this is like Star Wars Supernatural, where like Lauren doesn't know what's going to happen. I do. And so it's like, oh my God, it's so hard not to talk about what's going to happen. It's so hard. So,
I had to wait, what, 2 years till you started watching Supernatural? A year and a half?
Yeah. Now I got to wait.
This is going to be longer.
It is. So what else did you watch though, besides The Last of Us? Cause I've been working. I haven't had time to. I've been watching the inside of my eyelids, to be honest with you.
I've been catching up on some Better Call Saul, so I'm on season 5 now. I went up to season 6, so I kind of just got behind on that because Josh got uninterested. And then after seeing Giancarlo Esposito at FanX, I was like, oh, I really need to finish this. So I've been catching up on that, and I rewatched after we recorded with Sean last week. I rewatched Spider-Man: No Way Home. I don't know what made me put that on at 10 o'clock at night, and
because you wanted to cry yourself to sleep, apparently.
Anytime I got to an emotional scene. Well, of course, Josh falls asleep right away. And I'm like, this movie's
sobbing
so
and shaking the bed. And Josh is like, what are you doing? You're like, nothing.
Well, he was like next to me when I was watching The Last of Us in that last episode, and he doesn't watch the show, but he was just working, not even paying attention. But anytime I got to an emotional scene, I was like, I'm just going to check my phone for a few minutes because I didn't feel like laying there crying.
Oh my God. This reminds me.
What does it remind you?
I was going off topic, but go ahead, continue.
Well, so that night, I watched it Monday night, and Logan had a little bit of a fever. So I had him laying down with me, and I thought he was asleep because he wasn't moving. And he usually is like ants
He's
in his
laying
pants.
there sobbing. You hear sniffles, and you're like, what's going on? He's like,
no, he's completely
lost his friends.
Well, this is more towards the beginning, thank God. But he's completely silent, had been silent for a while. And all of a sudden you see the pumpkin bomb, and Logan just goes, Green Goblin. And I'm like, you're awake?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's good. I love that. That reminds me of when Harper when we did the Rise of the Resistance, it got silent because the ride broke, and she just silently goes, are they gonna kill us?
Every time we're on that ride now, I tell whoever I'm with that story because it's so cute. Like when we're there.
Crazy story. Just this 4-year-old that just whispers, or she was even 4 yet, she was 3, but she was like, are they gonna kill us?
Well, they make it really scary. Anybody who hasn't done Rise of the Resistance, it's the Resistance cast members take their job very seriously.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's fun,
fantastic. I will say, I did actually loosely watch something. My wife's been watching Once Upon a Time. Now,
I love Once Upon a Time.
I watched the first few seasons, but I remember none of it. Like, I was into it for a brief period, and I watched it on my first deployment. I don't remember anything, so I'm kind of like, I don't care. You can watch this, and I'm just gonna lay on the couch. But then I'm like, I'm one eye open, like, wait a second. And so I'm kind of loosely watching that. But if you don't know what Once Upon a Time is, I think it's on Disney Plus.
It's ABC, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one of those shows that it's full of, there's a spell on the town. It's in a town.
Fairy tale spins. Oh, there's going to be an episode of Supernatural soon that was filmed in Storybrooke. And they say it's Broward County, Florida, which makes no sense at all. There's no palm trees. I grew up in Broward County, Florida. That is incorrect.
Once Upon a Time, it was good for a few seasons, and then it just completely falls off the rails.
I wish it had ended sooner. That's one I wish had definitely ended sooner because it was so good, and then it got really good, and then it was like, meh.
Yeah, it just I didn't even make it to the Elsa part. Surprise. They include all the Disney princesses, and Elsa comes and all that stuff. I didn't make
that. Was at the height of Frozen.
I guess I'm gonna make it there because there's 7 seasons and my wife's watching it, so I guess I'm gonna make it there some way. So with that said, let's roll into some news. The news. So go ahead. We'll save the DC stuff for last. You go ahead and start.
Okie dokes. So The Boys actually outperformed all of the Marvel Disney Plus series in 2022, making it the most watched superhero show. So I'm hoping that some people take a look at this and see this as further evidence that maybe Daredevil can be darker. Maybe we can have R-rated superhero stuff. Maybe it doesn't all have to be catering to the kids to make more. Although you don't see the Boys merchandise, so obviously the Marvel stuff outperformed in that regard, which is honestly why they do the PG-13 thing, anyways. But I would buy some of the Boys merchandise.
Oh, me too.
It'd be like a life-size Soldier Boy.
I feel like it's merchandise you'd find in a Spencer's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's like the back wall of Spencer's.
So when I was at MegaCon last year, the only thing I saw, and granted, there's so many booths, it's like near impossible to see everything, was one of the booths was selling Compound V, and it looked like a little vial of something cool. Blue.
Yeah.
And then at Fan X,
hypnotic.
Yeah. But then at Fan X, I found a teeny tiny Soldier Boy, and they had a bunch of them, and I'm hoping to get more of the Boys Legos at the next
if
one.
They have any Legos, let me know. I will Venmo you to get me some of those Lego minifigures of the Boys.
You were next to me when I bought Soldier Boy.
Was I really? I what?
It was overwhelming though, all the Legos there.
Look, I'm a kid. Okay. I see Lego minifigures. I was all over the place. I didn't remember that there were
Well, I'll tell you
events.
what I'm going to tell my kids because MegaCon's right before Easter this year, I believe. Give me your list. Whatever your wish minifigs are, let me know because when I get there, there's too many to be like, they have this, they have that, they
It's
have this.
overwhelming. Yeah. We've
Yeah.
tried that the past couple years. It doesn't work out because you don't get service and I don't see my phone right away.
Yes, that
We're going
too.
with a whole
There's
new game plan.
terrible service in these conventions to the point where my watch is like, you left your phone behind, and I panic and it's in
MegaCon.
my pocket.
If you listen to this episode, press pass, please.
We
Panel,
submitted. We
please.
shall see.
We sub to you, baby. Sub to us.
No matter what, I will be creating content at MegaCon, but the level of content will differ if I have to pay to go versus
Don't let them
if
know
I'm
you're going
granted.
regardless.
They know I'm going regardless. They got records. I think the only I've missed in the last like 6-7 years was the week Logan was born. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan posted a picture of himself with the Invincible omnibuses, and he was thanking Robert Kirkman for them. So I think it is fair to assume that he will be voicing someone in.
Or he could be in the live action film they've been talking about doing.
Don't tease me with a live action Invincible. That is hands down.
I'm just saying, I'm the messenger.
My favorite comic book is Invincible.
It, yeah.
Clearwater Comic Con is happening March 4th. It is from 10 to 5 at Ross Norton Convention Center. The reason we're mentioning this, if you're on the west coast of Florida, definitely hit this up. You can see a little video from last year that here's your Tim cameo. That Tim covered for us. It's a very little convention. It's very family friendly, but if you're in the area, hit it up. I believe it's even free to get in. But they had a lot of fun cosplay and trivia and, fun for the whole family. Or if you don't want to bring the kids or you don't have the kids, conventions are always fun.
Comic cons are fun. And so with the press pass for Seattle, I'm going to plug them real quick because what they do is they asked me if I wanted to bring a child between the age of 6 and 12. So like I could have brought my oldest who's 7 and we could have just bro-dayed it out. And honestly, I'm going to try to convince my wife to let me do that still. And that's cool. Like take your kids.
That is actually really cool.
Especially to these smaller cons, like take your kids because that's the perfect chance to kind of, if you want to share that culture with your children, that's the perfect chance. It can be
overwhelming too, though. Don't take them on like the Saturday, depending on the child. Know your child.
Yeah. If you're going to a Comic-Con, don't like Saturday is probably not the best idea, but Friday evenings.
Yeah, good idea. It would be interesting to gauge other parents because I've never brought Brielle. She's 10. Kaylee, those come with me every single year, so she's been coming with me since she was like 12.
Well, you always see like the people with strollers and stuff. We've seen.
Oh God, I would
and it's like, oh, honey, it's like bringing your 1-year-old to Disney, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh, I bring the 1-year-old. I mean,
that's different. You live there, but
Brielle was 3 weeks old.
The people who spent like $15,000 to make it their once in a lifetime vacation, like I'm not taking my 1-year-old because they're not going to remember.
Once in a lifetime, sure, but
you live there, so it's different.
Yeah, but we did a cruise when Brielle was 18 months. We're going way off topic. The level of excitement when Mickey came out at dinner, like my husband and I still like joyfully tell that story. Because they do it in the animator's palette. It's for the parents. It's so amazing.
It's for the parents.
It goes, from black and white to color, and Fantasia Mickey comes out and the music's going, and Brielle was 18 months old and she's screaming, Mickey, to the point to where the table next to us was laughing at her. So that was a great memory that we have. But it also, if it's a once in a lifetime, if you're not gonna be able to take your kids again until they're 25, wait a little while. I get that. So MegaCon does a Thursday day, and I think we're talking about bringing our kids Thursday, and because Ian never brings his kids either. So we're talking about bringing the 10-year-olds.
Fuck them kids.
Well, you went from bring the kids, have the experience, to fuck them kids real quick. All right, let's move on.
Oh God.
So Amazon is working on a Tomb Raider series. Family Guy, The Simpsons, and Bob's Burgers have all been renewed for 2 more seasons. The Simpsons is older than you.
Do you know the Hulu is actually doing a King of the Hill reboot? They're bringing King of the Hill revival, if you will, back to.
I did that screenshot. Is still
I group Family Guy, Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, King of the Hill. They're all kind of the same to me. Bob's Burgers is awesome. Family Guy, Simpsons, I just loosely will watch here and there. King of the Hill I kind of enjoyed, but that's what reminded me. So they're bringing that back to Hulu as well.
That means I have more news on my phone that I forgot.
Family Guy will never die, despite him trying to get that killed off.
So we have a ghost movie coming, and it's called We Have a Ghost. It's a movie coming to Netflix with David Harbour and Anthony Mackie on February 24th. I
What?
watched the trailer. This is looks like a family-friendly comedy
What?
action movie. It looks pretty good. I'm not gonna
Sign
lie.
me up. Those two?
Yes. Anthony Mackie looks like he's the dad and they have a ghost in their house and David Harbour's the ghost. And he can't talk.
David Harbour. Okay, is there a guy who shows you more range than David Harbour? Like Santa Claus,
Yeah, that's fair. Red
overweight
Guardian.
Russian superhero, father cop of a
I would say
supernatural
overweight
being.
cop in the 80s.
And now he's
And
a
then
ghost? Like what? That guy is busting his ass. I'm here for it. That's awesome. Yes.
So,
oh man, speaking of Netflix, did you see the new crackdown laws with Netflix?
no.
So if you do not log into your Netflix account once every 31 days from your home Wi-Fi, they will lock you out.
Who would not be doing that? That's weird that they're
I'll
even
tell
doing
you,
that.
no,
But
I'm
who
going
would
to tell
not be
you
doing
who.
that?
Military members. What if we're deployed for 6 months? What if we're going for work? What if you move? How are they going to be able to tell that you moved or not, right?
We did go on a 5-week road trip one time.
What if I only, so I have to make sure I log in once a month for my phone if I only use it sparingly when I fly and stuff. So they didn't think this through at all. Netflix is, I will give it 2 years tops before Netflix either reverses this
backlash
or they sink completely. Hands down. But that's for everybody listening. That's the newest laws with their password sharing. It's all bogus. It's crap because you have a lot of people who like, what if you're poor, right? Or don't have a lot of money. So mom and dad, they pay for the Netflix. I pay for the Disney Plus. Sister pays for Hulu. We all share accounts because that's how we can get this streaming because everything's on streaming.
We're just trying to pay less than we did when we had cable. That is
Exactly.
literally our only goal.
Exactly. And then not to mention, not for nothing, but like Netflix doesn't have a lot of good stuff nowadays at all.
It's supernatural. See, the thing with Netflix is it's always the stuff that like I need to have. I need to always have supernatural. Like I'm watching Better Call Saul on there now. Like I need all that stuff. So I'll go through a couple more things so then you can do DC because I'm gonna let you take all of that. Oh, yeah. So this doesn't seem like news, but apparently it is. Dexter New Blood has been canceled. I thought it was just
I thought it was a one-off, but they're doing a prequel.
I guess there's talks of them doing a prequel. We shall see. I've heard talks like maybe doing a prequel with his son or something. No, and I guess something about the Showtime and Paramount Plus mergers. Whoop. I think that's all the news I had. I think the only other news okay, that's for Supernatural. Yeah, I'm good. Go.
Okay. Well, DC news. All right. So James Gunn came out. Him and Peter Safran have announced their slate. So let's start from the top. We're getting a Creature Commandos TV show. It's a 7-episode animated series written by James Gunn. It's already in production. It's a team of classic monsters that assemble to fight Nazis. And this is going to be a modern take on the concept. So they're going to go ahead and fight people like Marjorie Green Taylor and Lauren Boebert and all them and things like that. If you get that reference, thank you. Number 2, we get a Amanda Waller spinoff TV show. So Viola Davis is going to return and she's going to be back with some of the Peacemaker cast. More to come from that. But it's written by Crystal Henry of Watchmen and Jeremy Carver, the creator of the Doom Patrol TV series. Next, we're getting a Superman Legacy film coming out July 11th, 2025, written by James Gunn. And then we're also going to be getting the Batman sequel to Matt Reeves' universe. This is what's called Elseworlds. So
it's supposed to come out on Mean Girls Day.
Joker, Batman, Teen Titans Go are considered Elseworlds. So Batman will come out October 3rd, 2025. Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson. And now we're getting Lanterns. So Lanterns will have, it's basically a True Detective style TV show featuring Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Personally, if you're asking me, Jonathan Majors, Glenn Powell should both be respective characters in that. That's going to be a TV series. And then we have The Authority. So this is a movie, which I wrote an article about who The Authority was. If you want to check that out, bamsmackpow.com. And So it's a movie based on a team of superheroes. They save the earth by any means necessary. Their last comic book run was actually in 2010. And so more to come there. They're kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. So they blur the lines, basically,
They
right?
can't handle the truth.
Exactly. Coming after that, we have Paradise Lost, which is a Game of Thrones style Amazon series taking place
about the Themyscira.
Yeah, taking place on Themyscira, filled with political intrigue and scheming between power players. So that's going to be taking place in between Wonder Woman films. So after we have Paradise Lost, we have The Brave and the Bold. So this one's interesting because we mentioned going younger in the DC universe, such as Superman, but this one is giving us the Bat family. So we have Bruce Wayne, and then they're featuring a Robin, which is going to be Damian Wayne. And it's taking inspiration from the classic Batman run written by Grant Morrison that introduced Batman to a son that he never knew existed. And if you know anything about Damian Wayne, him and Talia al Ghul had a baby, and that baby was raised by assassins. And so
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, and very interesting. Obviously, it's not played Robert Pattinson, so we don't know who the actors are. We don't know if Gal Gadot is coming back. The only two we do know that are not coming back are Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. Those two are for sure out. Now, after that, we're getting a Booster Gold HBO Max TV series. So Booster Gold was created in
I met him in Smallville.
Yeah. Booster Gold was created in 1986, and it's about a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero. That's going to be
I love that concept.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope it's a comedy. I mean, it's got to be a comedy. It's James Gunn.
Absolutely.
All of this would be a comedy.
I think so for sure, without a doubt. And after that, we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So this has
we had a legit Supergirl movie, like a legit one.
So I'll get to that in a minute. It's taking its cues from the recent Tom King written miniseries. So you'll see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, and all of that stuff. And you're going to go ahead and she had to watch everybody around her die. And the first 14 years of her life were not fun. And she got to Earth, and she's much more hardcore, not the Supergirl that we are used to, essentially. Now, the next film, I am over the moon because they might get James Mangold to get in here and do Swamp Thing. Now, they're talking about it being a horror film, which is which they promised to close out the first part of the first chapter. A freaking Swamp Thing horror film. I love Swamp Thing. I have an undying passion for Swamp Thing. And so getting a horror film of him, which he kind of is horror aspect.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He's like an original monster.
Yeah. I mean, he's part of their dark universe, DC Dark, right? And so that's incredible. And so James Gunn posted a video that was about 5 minutes long, kind of talks about his old vision. I'm excited. Now, I know this is very much a DC universe that already establishes heroes. Nobody's going to be an origin story. This is our established heroes. And he goes on to talk about the fact that Blue Beetle's still in there. Aquaman, Peter Safran said that we always, and Jason, always envisioned Aquaman as a trilogy. So it sounds like maybe Jason Momoa comes back, finishes off the Aquaman trilogy, and then maybe he goes to Lobo. Who knows? But
he said he wasn't going to play two characters. He did say that.
Well, then maybe
James Gunn said that. Yeah.
Pretty much what they decided. James Gunn said that The Flash was like the greatest superhero movie ever made. Apparently.
And he definitively said that's going to reset everything.
And yeah, so we're getting a hard reset. Flash will end the Snyder verse. Ugh, those words. But it's going to end. The DCEU, as we know it, ends with the Flash.
Now the DCU. He's not even saying DCEU. He's saying DCU.
So I'll get to that in a second too. So the Flash ends everything. Aquaman 3 comes out after Blue Beetle does. It sounds like they're going to come into the fold. And then also it sounds like Gal Gadot's probably going to stick around.
I hope so. I love her.
If that Themyscira series takes place in between Wonder Woman films, it's sounding like she's going to stick on too. But we don't know. And we also don't know about Zachary Levi yet. That said, what James Gunn has established is that the films, the television series, the animated series, the games are all going to be connected in some form or another, which is interesting because he said if we get the voice actors, because Creature Commandos is animated. Creature Commandos is animated. We have these voice actors. Well, those same voice actors are going to play the live action version, which normally isn't something that we ever do. We get voice actors, we get actors, right?
Well, you see it every now and then. Like you've got Bo-Katan, you got, Sebastian Stan. Some of the Marvel people did, and some of the Marvel people didn't.
It kind of narrows your casting down a little bit.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because like I couldn't see Ashley Eckstein playing live action Ahsoka.
You also have Tara Strong say she comes on as Harley Quinn. Again, we don't know what's happening to Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. We don't know what's happening to John Cena as Peacemaker. So we don't know who's cast as what yet.
Well, he did say that in the Amanda Waller series, you'll see Peacemaker characters.
So I assume that I'm hoping Margot Robbie stays on as Harley Quinn and gets a fair shake because Birds of Prey was okay. It
was better than it was received, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. So it's like, but it needs to be better and it needs to get the respect it deserves at the same time.
And she was awesome in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. So I hope she stays on.
Yeah. She's been great anytime she's played Harley Quinn, even in the first Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
she was the best part of the movie.
Amazing. So I hope she does stay on. But I know some people, such as somebody who worked on the Suicide Squad video games, like Tara Strong is a fantastic Harley Quinn. You can't recast her, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I get it, dude. But you can. Because eventually we're going to anyways. Because these are stories that transcend time. These are stories that are never going to die. Somebody's always going to take on the mantle of a character. Mm-hmm. Like the Dark Knight, Christian Bale was in probably the best comic book movie of all time, The Dark Knight. But now we see other Batmans. Shut up. But so I as a DC fan, I'm very excited. I'm very hopeful. But it sucks that we have to wait till like 2025 after this. Like next year, we don't really get a DC film, and so. But I'll be 35. That sucks.
I could see Aquaman getting pushed out.
Maybe. I don't know.
You'll be 35. I'll be dead.
There's a lot to be excited for as DC fans. So yeah, that's about the gist of the DC news. A lot to be excited for. A lot of things to also be like, I don't know. We'll see. That's interesting. We're starting with things like the Authority or Creature Commandos.
But we said that about Guardians.
We did. I mean, Iron Man, when they kicked off the MCU, everybody was like, wow, Iron Man. But look what happened.
A lot of people were like, who?
Exactly. Look what happened.
Star-Lord, man.
So I will follow James Gunn into the end of the universe if it means we get quality DC films in television and animation.
I mean, yeah, he's already brought things on both sides of Marvel and DC that nobody thought could be done as well as they were done. And they exceeded. I know you're not a huge Guardians fan, but like it definitely exceeded expectations.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, it did. So that's all we got. Let's go into our main topic now. We're going to wrap up phase 4 of Marvel with Sean from Metalcore Nerds. As always, you can find Sean at Metalcore Nerds. Search him on Adobe Howl. Go to adobehowell.com or adoberadio.com. And that's where he comes out. He's writing articles. He's putting out episodes there. And he came on to talk about Marvel Phase 4. So we're going to wrap up Marvel Phase 4, give our quick little predictions, and we'll see you in just a moment. Hey everybody, welcome back. Once again, we are wrapping up today phase 4 and then going to go into some quick predictions. If you caught our episode last week, Sean is still with us once again. So with that being said, let's dive into Doctor Strange for real this time. We started to last week and then we realized that Spider-Man took place before all of this stuff. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Already gave you the quick fun facts, but just to recap, the Illuminati actors were never all together at the same time. So they had to piece it all together. And then Xochitl Gomez, who plays America Chavez, she had to learn to drive on set. She got to drive the producer's vintage red convertible. This took a few years to produce, and a lot of things that went in this movie. Sam Raimi came back. Everybody was like, oh my God, everybody's going to be in this movie. It's the Multiverse of Madness. But I feel like our expectations got a little ahead of what actually came in this movie. In my opinion, this movie was fine, but I walked out like I liked it, but I felt, I guess, to my own expectations,
it was a tease.
Yeah, like Wanda's a straight villain in this movie. Wanda went
I loved
villain.
her as a villain. I thought she was awesome.
Yes.
She was capping everybody. She got the Darkhold took over her essentially, right? Because she wants her kids back. And then we got to see Reed Richards played by John Krasinski. He's back. Professor Xavier, Patrick Stewart, he's back. So we got to see those, and they died in some pretty.
For 5 seconds, I was like, please let Xavier be the person who saves the day. That would have been amazing.
Nope. They died.
No chance.
Pretty bad, pretty violent ways. Wanda was pretty badass.
Yeah. I mean, that whole, we could talk for 2 hours just about that one scene. It's like, are the Inhumans relevant now? Or are we not forgetting that the ABC show happened? I'm so confused because it was
fan service.
Shortly before that, I had done a whole, we don't talk about Bruno video about we don't talk about Inhumans. And now it's like at the end of the movie. So are we going to talk about Bruno? Like, what the hell?
I think it was more of a redemption for the character.
I really think the MCU in general this phase is doing a lot of redemption. We saw redemption with the Mandarin. We saw redemption with the Tobey Maguire's webs coming directly out of his wrists. We saw redemption for Jamie Foxx looking ridiculous. So I felt like this is the phase of grief and redemption.
Yeah, and Tobey Maguire being a complete piece of shit as a Spider-Man. There's a line that completely references it. They know. He says, "I'm trying to be better to Doc Ock." I mean, I was like, that line was written for me.
Well, and then Andrew Garfield's redemption and saving MJ. Yes. That was a good redemption.
Yeah, 100%. And also, Black Bolt's suit was 100% CGI, which is crazy because it looked incredible.
It did look great. It did. The CGI in this movie was awesome.
Lanterns.
And we got Christine back, so that was great. So we kind of got to also like wrap up Stephen Strange and Christine's story because she got married.
Yeah.
But I think people had way too big expectations when they heard Multiverse of Madness. We were expecting a lot more. And in the grand scheme of things, it was a bit tame. And that's fine. That's once again, everybody got really excited. But I just feel like it was a 2-hour movie. So it went through fast, which again, I thought the pacing, some parts breathed, some parts didn't. And at the end, it's kind of left open-ended. Wanda's not dead. Put it to you that way. Wanda didn't die. We all know that.
Hell no.
But we got really cool shots.
Biggest gripe of that movie is that they could have done without the fake death. Like, just
agreed.
Did not needed whatsoever. Like, that was
we know.
That was like, I was like, come on, you did not need to do that.
Yeah,
like that was my biggest gripe of that movie for sure. Well, yeah, I think that moment kind of, because what we talked about WandaVision earlier, like it did so much for Wanda's character, and it was awesome seeing her going off the rails, but for then to, and that's like one of my biggest problems with phase 4. One is it'll be corrected because there's so many big things happen and we don't know the ramifications of these things yet. And that's me preemptively thinking that now, which obviously those are going to be answered. So that's fine. But they introduce all these cool like items with all this crazy lore and they just get destroyed immediately. You know what I mean? Darkhold, destroyed. Necrosword, destroyed. Like they all just get destroyed so fast. And it's like, why? Why can't you just leave them around? Like, why do they need to be destroyed? You know,
right?
Don't you think that'd make things more interesting and dangerous if they did still exist? Right. And when I left this movie, I was left in a kind of a daze of like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because it is just, it's such like a balls to the wall race from the jump of the movie, from the opening scene to the end. You're just like, what the fuck is happening? And it's awesome in that way. And watching it a second time, it made me appreciate Doctor Strange arc more in it, because it really is a movie about him kind of coming to terms with, he doesn't need to put the weight of the multiverse on his shoulders anymore. He can use help, and he gladly took that help. And that was cool. And kind of seeing the ramifications of even him saving the day from Infinity War to what he does in this movie, to seeing that like, hey, the shit you do is fucking shit up, man. Like you are really fucking shit up for people, which is cool. I will say the ending to the after credit scene felt weird, because it's like, oh, he has the third eye and he's freaked out, and then he's cool with the third eye like 5 minutes later. That
maybe because he saw Charlize Theron, he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. So I kind of wish there was like a better transition to that, or if they just they could have just ended with that after credit scene instead of the ending they had. That might have been cooler too. But I get it, you know, it's like the end credit scene. You got to introduce new characters, set something up, whatever. But yeah, like I kind of love Sam Raimi's flair to it. Seeing that in the MCU was really cool. But yeah, just if they got rid of the fake death, if they changed like a few things, I think it would have been a great movie rather than a good movie.
Now, I have a question because I hear a lot of people say, oh, you did all this character development in WandaVision and then you just threw it under the bus. And to me, I'm like, no, she's corrupted by the Darkhold. The character you saw Xavier trying to reach out to, that's the Wanda that was at the end of WandaVision, in my opinion. So how do you guys feel about that? Like, did you have an issue with her just being straight up villainous as soon as we met her?
It made total sense to me.
It did. And she got corrupted. Once again, like she thought she had a way and she got corrupted. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I think the only thing that ruined her character development was killing her.
Yeah.
Fakely. That was just stupid.
Just for her to show up and later on be like, surprise. Hey.
Yeah. Like I loved her realizing that she became a monster. That was great. How they beat her. Was just showing her that she became what she hated in a way. I really liked that, but they could have done a way where like, hey, we need to contain you in something. Like they're fucking wizards. They can figure something out that could have been different than her sacrificing herself to destroy the Darkhold. Like there could have been something done way smarter and better, which bums me out because Michael Waldron wrote this movie and he wrote Loki, which I think is one of the best things they've done ever.
Agreed.
So I don't know if it was because he kind of came in because obviously Scott Derrickson was originally supposed to do this movie because he did the first one. I don't know if there were some things kind of because I think Sam Raimi and him came in kind of late in the game and they kind of rewrote everything.
Yeah.
So, and I will agree with you too, Mash, that I think the title could have been different because it wasn't really a multiverse.
It wasn't a multiverse of madness at all. No,
there was a multiverse, sure. And we did see some cool different Earths and stuff, but I think the title misled people.
It was a self-contained madness because they didn't bring really any outside thing. Yeah.
I feel like Wanda was the only madness.
Right.
Yeah. So they could have saved themselves some expectations with a little bit of that. And I think some restraint with the marketing because they did give away kind of a lot of the Illuminati.
They need to stop doing that.
Which usually they're pretty good about, honestly.
I feel like they used to be. I feel like lately, well, not even just their leads. Lately, I feel like I didn't even watch the second trailer for Ant-Man. I'm just done with all this stuff getting ruined in the trailers. I feel like they do a good job of like, okay, this isn't what you think it's going to be. Like in the trailers, we didn't know Wanda was going to be a villain, but I feel like they're still giving away too much in these trailers and it's taking away. Like I like that moment in the theater where I'm like, oh my God, like I love that. And you can only get that in the theater.
Yeah. There's like a difference too, because trailers are for people outside the bubble to get them to go to theaters 100%. But showing Peggy Carter's jetpack isn't catering to those people. That's catering to people like us. Because we're like, oh, fuck. And they didn't need to show that in a TV spot.
Yeah.
You know, like even if they just showed Professor Xavier, that would have been enough. Because all the other stuff, I mean, we
heard him in the trailer.
We still got they showed him in a later trailer too, like full up.
Oh, see, I didn't.
Yeah, they did.
That.
They did.
That's
and
bullshit.
That's fine if that was just the one, but then they showed Peggy Carter, and a lot of people like theorized it was a version of Captain Marvel. But it was cool. We got to see the Black Bolt surprise, and the Reed Richards surprise was really cool. They kept those pretty under wraps. That was cool. And even Thor: Love and Thunder, Wakanda Forever, they did a really good job of not really giving what the story is away for the most part. And even Spider-Man No Way Home, they did a great job. They totally misdirected us on what that movie was going to be. So it really depends on what it is, you know. Even with Ant-Man, they may have given away, I don't know, like you kind of figured what the movie was going to be. So they didn't really give anything away in the second trailer. They really just showed you, Kang's here and he's going to fuck shit up. That was pretty much the second trailer. Like,
well, yeah, you're right. The marketing and kind of the loose lips have, I don't want to say become a problem, but they've definitely got more relaxed in a way.
Yeah. And if I don't see
I think part of it's the culture of what this is now, you know, like even Variety and the Hollywood Reporter sometimes pick up on rumors and post articles about rumors now, which is weird. Like it's so
you never
weird.
Used to get that, and now that's the state of reporting. Now everybody reports. You have to be the first to report on a rumor. You have to be the first to report on this leak to say you got it right, because you can circle back. But let's move into Miss Marvel. Lauren, what do you have for fun facts? And I really like this show personally.
So I have a quote from the director, Sharmeen Obaid Chinow. She said, Iman, who is Kamala Khan, said she is a nerd when it comes to the MCU. She's such a massive fan of the MCU, and I'm sure she could tell Kevin Feige a thing or two he doesn't know about the MCU. Directing her has been incredible. Also, Amon was disconnected from her culture growing up in Canada a little bit. Through the series, she's really discovered it. So Amon is also on a journey of self-discovery. Both Amon and Kamala are on similar journeys, and I think that really plays out. She embodies that superhero so well in the big moments and in the small ones. I'm excited to see her thrive in the MCU. The reason this fun fact, or just this quote, was my one fun fact, because I feel like and watching like interviews with her, with Amon, and watching the Marvels assembled, you saw that she is Kamala Khan. And so it was, you know, the director saying like all the her culture and her nerdom, all of that's on screen. So it's really, they cast her beautifully. There's my fun fact. They cast her beautifully.
Yeah, they did. I mean, she loves this, and she was over there like telling, no, this isn't right. 616 isn't the actual. And so just the love she has for what she's doing bleeds through. And I thought her character was awesome. The first word mutant that we got in the MCU comes in the show. And it's really cool because we're getting to the Young Avengers potentially, and so this is setting up more cosmic things as this goes into the Marvels. And I love the family aspect of this show. I loved how nobody turned their back. We get a scene of her community coming together to basically protect her. And yeah, again,
child.
There was nothing that was like, this is too big for the setting, right? It doesn't get too big. It's pretty self-contained. And we get some really cool callbacks to where she goes back in time. Yeah, she goes to Iran and things like, or Pakistan. And just the cultural aspect, I thought it had a really large impact culturally as well for you know, the Arab community, right? How often do we see the Arab community kind of downplayed and treated like villains all the time in modern day cinema and TV shows? And we got to see the other side of that. So having been to these cultural, you know, I've gotten to experience these cultures firsthand. It's really cool to get to see the positivity. And that's why I really enjoyed this show.
Yeah, this show is wonderful. I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, with any MCU movie or series or property, I'm usually pretty stoked for it. Excuse me. But when I first saw the trailer, I was like, man, this looks like a lot of fun. And it can be hard because even with Shoshi Gomez, she was a first-time actor in Doctor Strange, and same thing with Iman Vellani. But she like is Kamala Khan. Like watching interviews before, you know, like press leading up to the series, I was like, damn, she like is this character. This is awesome. And I think she stole a lot of people's hearts, you know, because she's just so endearing and so relatable. And I loved the culture aspect, just like you said. It was so great to learn about the partition. It's funny. I was talking about this the other day. I was like, I've learned more about like pretty big historical events more in like comic book properties than I did when I was in school, which is really fucked up to say.
It's kind of sad.
But,
yeah,
but it's true. Like even like the Watchmen series, I learned about like the Oklahoma City like bombings.
Oh yeah.
Like, Tulsa bombings. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
that was the first time I had heard about it too. Yeah.
I was like, why am I learning it through this? Like, this is not okay. Like, what is happening? But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, this show is great. I love the mutant nod, which was awesome because the creators of the comics originally wanted to make her a mutant, but they couldn't because that's when Fox owned X-Men and they weren't really pushing X-Men. And that's why they created the Inhumans basically anyway. And they originally wanted to be a mutant. So they got to rectify that in live action, which I think is pretty cool.
Agreed.
And she is going to steal the Marvels. That's going to be her fucking movie.
Without a doubt.
And I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, all right, let's go into another divisive property that came out last summer. Thor: Love and Thunder. A lot of people didn't like this movie. Now, Natalie Portman is only 5'3", but she needed to appear taller because she is the mighty Thor. So they had platforms on set and other actors had to move around. And then Gore had to venture away from his comic book a little bit because he looked a little too much like Voldemort. And then also, we don't have symbiotes in this universe, right? So, all right. I really enjoy this movie. It's very emotional. Thor... Look, it's not Ragnarok, which a lot of people held against it. What?
Didn't part of the symbiote get left behind at the end of No Way Home?
It did.
Yes,
it did. So they're I guess they are unofficially. They haven't really brought.
They're not going to connect it like they do in the comics.
Right.
This part.
So I was just okay. Yeah.
Gore the God Butcher. We get Christian Bale playing a badass villain. Now, he didn't really do a whole lot of God butchering on screen in this movie, which, okay, I get it. And then some people had other issues, but again, this is the journey of Thor, and he reconnected with Jane after how long? And they did the cancer storyline, and now she ends up dying, and he has to give that piece of him up again, because all of these Thor movies, Thor loses something. In every single movie he is in, he loses something, right? Yep. And so it's just another story of loss. But we get Heimdall back, and Jane's in Valhalla. I liked it. Okay, another 2-hour movie. I liked it. People didn't. Whatever.
I think this was more redemption too, because everybody want to know what the hell happened with Jane. So they told us. I thought they did that in a really fun, creative way with like, this was their story of their relationship. And I did love the scene where she's in the bed and Thor's just very vulnerable. And he says, I love you. But I do understand the reason people had issues. To me, it goes back to the whole Wonder Woman 3 thing, or Santa Claus 3. When love conquers and saves the day and fixes everything, and that's your solution to fixing your storyline, I have an issue with that. So I didn't love the ending, but I loved the movie.
I just want to know where your issue with love is. You just hate love.
I hate love. It's the worst. No, I am happily married.
I think that all the time when I listen to the show, I'm like, what is her deal with
Lauren?
Love?
Just hates it.
I just feel like it's an easy way out to just have a character just do kind of like okay, we're all just going to hug and sing Kumbaya, and that's just going to save
this one
the day.
Is different. I
loved the movie. I don't know. It's just a little, I don't know. I just feel like it's an easy.
Yeah. I think it's hard for me because I can get like the first 2/3 of this movie because it is extremely goofy. It is Taika Waititi at his Taika Waititiest. Like, he is off the fucking rails, dude. And I thought it was funny. Admittedly, I've not rewatched it at home, so I don't know how the beginning will really land for me now. But the ending is like everything to me. So I had my wife's mother had a battle with cancer, and we lost her to cancer. So like the whole ending like ruined me because like I went through this, like the scene in the bed, like I had conversations like that. So like that shit just hit home hardcore for me. So the whole like her and that's like the thing, like Jane coming and fighting, even though she knows she's going to die from it, is like such a big thing with people that battle with cancer because they can either, like fight for their lives and do it miserably, or they can spend it doing what they love with the people they love and go out like happy. So that's why it's like, it's a little more than like love conquers all kind of thing for me, because she, like, even Gore sees that like she sacrifices everything to fight another day, to like go out on something. And I did see like a bunch of people kind of being like, oh, you only go to, like they set up earlier in the movie with Sif, like you only die when you're in battle. Like Jane wasn't in battle. And I was like, she was battling cancer. I was like, that's the biggest battle there is, man. And I was like, and if you say you're not, then like, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Like you can't combat that.
Right. No, I had no issue with that. I liked that. And I knew that she was sacrificing herself to save a child. I'm all for that. It's when the bad guy suddenly feels love and does the 180. So like with Gore at the end, I felt like he had been so corrupted by the was it the necro sword? Was that what so he had been so corrupted and he's just gone full evil. And now just in this one moment, he switches. It's like when the little girl hugs Martin Short at the end of Santa Claus 3. Ruined the whole trilogy for me because it's just not that easy. So that's what I thought. The whole Thor and Jane story was great. I loved all that.
Yeah.
It was just when the villain all of a sudden is like, all right, love is going to conquer every evil ambition I had. And now I'm done.
It's kind of the same thing with One Move for me, where it's like he turned at the moment where he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he, at the same time, he's almost not a villain too. Like he kind of got wronged by the one thing he believed in his entire life. And he was trying to get the revenge that he thought he was owed, And I think that's the one, because I can understand, because Gore in the comics is a motherfucker. And it takes three Thors from 3 different periods of time to stop him. So I can get why people are let down by that. And that's totally like warranted. I kind of wish they saved Gore for another movie or something, because
Bring him
they
back
had
later
just
on, yeah.
whatever fucking villain in this,
Right.
which I
Or
guess
have
is
him
like
be
kind of
more
a
than
theme
one.
for Thor movies of wasting villains. Because man, they did Malekith dirty, and I am
they
a
did.
Thor Dark World defender. That movie is
Me
not that bad.
too. It is
Not
not.
that bad.
I don't get the hate that it gets. I think
Yeah.
it's a great movie.
It's decent. It's a
It's
decent
not that
movie.
bad. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's the best, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad as everyone says it is.
It's not in my top 10, but it's not in
they
my
did
bottom
Malekith
5.
dirty,
Yeah.
because Malekith in the comics is fucking insane. So
And I love that
get it.
actor too.
Yeah.
The Chris, the Ninth
Chris
Doctor.
Eccleston, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well-
I get it. Like, I get some criticism of this movie, but again, I think, and we live in a time where everyone is so critical of everything. You know, everyone's a movie
Nitpicky.
critic on Facebook now, so it's crazy.
Also visual effects
Nuts.
artists. So
Yes, visual effects experts for sure. They're screenplay experts also.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
Casting
knowledgeable in that.
experts.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy, but it is what it is.
it is.
No,
And
but
again-
overall, this movie was great. A great follow up to Ragnarok.
Yes,
A great.
I think so
mean,
too.
I absolutely did love it.
Agreed.
That's just my that's my little nitpick.
So Lauren hates love. So let's move into something we love. So we have the I Am Groot that came out. It was just fun little shorts. And then
Groot is evil in those.
he is. But we
He's
have
straight
She-Hulk.
up barbaric.
She-Hulk. That's what we're really here for. She-Hulk
Yeah.
came out, and this is actually Jamila Jamil's 5th comic book feature after having appeared in DuckTales, Harley Quinn, Marry Me, and DC League of Super Pets. And then Malia
Damn.
Arya plays She-Hulk on set for having reference. She's actually
She's
6'5",
6'5".
6'5". So she's about my height, whereas Tatiana Maslany is 5'4". Again, this is where the MCU
About my
people
height.
came flying out. People had a lot of issues. I loved She-Hulk. It was fun. It was very self-aware. Daredevil came in. We get a scene where Daredevil and She-Hulk are having a family, dinner, whatever it is, with each other. And you it was, again, self-aware, broke the fourth wall, didn't have that. It had that really great sequence where she's talking about, oh, we're not going to have just another man come in and have a CGI fight. She was like, no, let's figure this out. And so I like the series. There's not a whole lot more I can say other than I just really like the series for the humor it did, the self-awareness, and to set up Daredevil's back, baby.
Yes, thank God.
This is pretty low on my TV rankings, admittedly, but it's not because I didn't like it. I did like it a lot, especially the last 2 episodes I thought were really strong, and the first episode was really strong too.
Yeah.
The rest was just like, it was like good fun TV.
Yeah, it was a
You
sitcom.
know?
There's not a lot I can say.
And there's a lot of people who had criticisms of the finale of how she like goes and meets with Kevin and then kind of ends everything, and they kind of wish they saw the in between of like her rewriting the ending a little bit, which I guess I can understand those criticisms too. But I can't wait to see her mix in with the rest of the Avengers. Like, I'm stoked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stoked to see She-Hulk CGI in a movie budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So
don't
they don't
think
have to cut back.
And I don't think it was as bad as people said. Again, VFX experts on Facebook, but it definitely was inconsistent at times. I can definitely agree with that, but
Agreed.
I can only imagine how expensive that was and how hard it is.
Without a doubt.
Mhm.
But when she's looking like fucking Thanos in the movies, people will be stoked. So
I agree. I think that she's I can't wait to see her either. But no, I really like the series. Again, it rated low on mine, but it's just because all these series are so amazing.
It gets harder to rank.
Yeah, the only episode I was not entertained by was the wedding episode, and I just felt like nothing really happened in that. And I also wish we had gotten more of Jamila Jamil. So I hope we get more of her in the future, because hearing her like that she was training and doing all this stuff and getting ready for it, and she was so amped for this role, I expected her to have a bigger impact on the storyline and not just be like this influencer who just happens to have superpowers. So I'm hoping that she's not somebody that we never see again. I would love for her to come back. I would love to learn more about her and her character, and I love her in The Good Place.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend about this, and he was like, well, I didn't really like that they had, She-Hulk do all this Deadpool stuff. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much she does that in the comic books.
That's her character. Yeah. Dan Slott
did it
was
before
even like,
Deadpool did.
look, I wrote
Right.
these, and this is as comic accurate as it gets because he was the guy who wrote all of these.
Well, and when I said that, he seemed a little like surprised. So I feel like a lot of people really just don't know her and know who she is and thinks that she's stealing, Deadpool's gimmick or whatever, and she's not. And I thought it was a lot of fun, and that was it. It was a sitcom. So yeah.
Let's move into, we got 3 more. So Werewolf by Night, This was the first Marvel special presentation, came out around Halloween. It was black and white, which helped them to avoid a TV mature rating because you couldn't see the red blood. And while this is the first on-screen appearance of Ted Sallis, which is the Man-Thing in the MCU, he's previously mentioned in dialogue by Maria Hill in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nothing Personal 2014, and a sculpture of his face was carved into the Grand Master's palace, as seen in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So
holy shit.
This was fun. I had a lot of fun. I want more Marvel special presentations. This takes place. They all kind of gather for this hunt to take over the gem. And yeah, I mean, you get to see this really cool sequence of him turning into werewolf and just ripping apart these guards and things. And then Man-Thing was a lot of fun. And it turns out that they were kind of helping each other. So
bros.
I know I don't, again, not a lot here, but I really enjoyed it. I hope we get more Werewolf by Night in the future, Midnight Suns, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. This was fantastic. And Michael Giacchino's directorial debut. He's a famous composer, if you guys didn't know.
Yes.
Composed a lot of Pixar movies, The Batman, Spider-Man No Way Home. The list goes on. His accolades are long.
There's actually a whole documentary about him on Disney Plus.
Yes.
It's pretty entertaining, and it shows clips of his like movies that he was making in the 80s, which are quite impressive for a kid making movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing like a remake of an old like horror classic, and after seeing this I'm like, fuck yeah,
give it to him. Yeah.
Yes, that is perfect. After seeing this I was like, dude, have him direct Blade. Like, come on. Like, this dude is so good. It was like a throwback to a classic Universal horror movie, and it was done insanely well. The trailer, I was stoked when the trailer came out, but agreed. I was a little weary that it might be too campy, but it wasn't at all. It had a little bit of humor in there.
Zombie thing. Yeah. I thought it was fake when the first time I saw it. I really thought it was fake.
Yeah. And that played way better in context than I thought it would. So yeah, this was great.
Apparently we have 10 minutes left on this, so I guess we can kind of wrap up.
Yeah, we just got Wakanda.
Because we also have 10 minutes, until 11. So
perfect.
All right. Well, let's touch on the last two. So we have Wakanda Forever that came out, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. So Wakanda Forever.
I do have a not really a fun fact, but while designing the hundreds of white funeral outfits, costume designer Ruth E. Carter took inspiration from various cultures across Africa to create a unique identity for each Wakandan tribe. I thought this whole movie, they did a beautiful job saying goodbye to T'Challa and Chadwick.
It was beautiful.
Perfect.
It was hardcore too, man. Namor he fucking drowns her, and
I love
God, it was, everybody comes out looking strong in this movie. It was great. It was great. Shuri, we all kind of knew she was gonna be the Black Panther. It was awesome when she actually did take over. I was pretty hyped about that. And then T'Challa had a son.
That's the trailer that made me upset, and why I don't want to watch trailers anymore is they showed her as Black Panther at the end of the trailer.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I mean, everyone kind of knew. Her. Yeah,
but
they even played with it within the movie, which I thought was funny because she's like talking to Nakia in one of the scenes. I was like, are they going to make her the Black Panther?
Yes, they did a good job kind of misdirecting, because I thought for sure they were going to make Nakia.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong, but in the end, no. And it was every bit emotional.
And I think it was the first time they said the word mutant, like straight up, mutant in the MCU.
Oh yeah,
which when they said it, I think Sam looked at me like I was gonna pass out. I was like, oh my God, they said it. But that was awesome. Namor was awesome. I was worried they were gonna kill him, and I was like, if they fucking kill him, I'm going to be so mad. But thank God they did not kill him, and they came to that like peace treaty. And I think it's setting up a major war for Vibranium and Wakanda, and I think it's going to be pretty wild.
Thunderbolts. This will probably go into Thunderbolts. Yeah.
See, his whole change where at the end he's like, okay, like I respect you and I'm going to back off, and at the fight at the end, see, like that's the kind of ending. It was like Namor in the comics always does what's best for him in Atlantis.
Yes.
And so I liked that he's strategic, he's intelligent. And so like that ending made sense to me rather than this just sudden, like it wasn't a sudden change of mind. It was he had new information to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or he was gonna die.
It's gonna die. He even says like, I'm just gonna wait.
Some villains like ego, they'll go out,
True. Killmonger too. Yeah.
But
he was like, kill me, let me die.
He did basically say, I'm just gonna wait until they need us. And so
yeah, which I think is gonna cause inner conflict for sure for him as well.
Oh yeah. For
I
sure.
think it's gonna be a very interesting character moving forward, and obviously echoing you guys, like so emotionally beautiful, and that opening scene just set the stage for what was an emotional ride.
We got two funerals in this movie. God, I wasn't ready for that.
Dude, seeing that silent opening Marvel fanfare.
Oh, and you just heard
theaters,
sniffing.
I saw opening night in IMAX. You could hear a pin drop in that fucking theater. It was insane.
I just heard just constant
that
sniffing.
too, yeah.
But so what I thought was beautiful about that is Stan Lee died. I think I've said this on here before, but when Stan Lee passed, they had a beautiful opening during Captain Marvel with all his cameos, but the music played, and it shows the difference between a life lived and a life taken too soon.
Agreed.
It was like we were celebrating Stan Lee's life, but we were mourning Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. And I think the Angela Bassett death was beautiful. I think I've said this one before too. She died so that Riri's mother didn't have to live through what she lived through. And so that line, I need to call my mom, was not a throwaway line. It was showing that she is a child. Yeah. And we too often forget in, these movies and TV shows that teenagers are children.
Yeah, they are.
And they still need their parents and they still need guidance.
They are. Well, let's wrap up with Guardians before we go into our rankings real quick.
Bow.
So this is an epilogue, basically. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Kevin Bacon didn't even read the script. He said it just sounded fun and was excited when he was mentioned in the first movie. And then James Gunn unironically enjoyed the Star Wars Holiday Special as a child and wanted to create something based on that. Now, the two songs we get in this movie, I have put in my Christmas song rotations, so they're there forever. Same. I love them. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun seeing Drax and Mantis on, a buddy cop thing. So that's all I'll say for this one before we go into our rankings. If you guys want to give your quick thoughts.
I loved it. It was fun.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So great. I love the Guardians. Getting a Guardians Christmas special. Amazing. And it was really cool to even James Gunn said this is like it did a lot of groundwork so they don't have to spend 15-20 minutes explaining all the stuff they explained in this in Guardians 3. So it was great. And Nebula gifting Rocket Bucky's arm.
That was the cherry on top.
That should have been the end credit scene. Though I want to see the scene where she steals his arm, and I want to see him waking up with no arm.
I do too. But
true.
All right, let's rank these real quick. So we're gonna start with TV rankings. I'll go from my least favorite to my favorite. So I had my least favorite. I had What If, and then I put Groot there because I did, it was whatever. Then I actually put Moon Knight. Oh, wow. And then comes Falcon and the Winter Soldier, followed by Miss Marvel, Loki, She-Hulk, Hawkeye was my second favorite, and then WandaVision was my first favorite.
Wow.
What do you got, Sean?
So I think at last I'll put I Am Groot, even though I don't really count it. It was adorable, but it's like there's no real context.
I just put it there. It was just kind of there.
My 5-year-old loves it.
Then What If? Then I have She-Hulk at number 7. Again, I still really liked it. Then the Falcon Winter Soldier, then Hawkeye, then Moon Knight, then Miss Marvel, then WandaVision, then Loki, number 1.
Lauren. All right. So I got I Am Groot, then What If, then She-Hulk, then Miss Marvel, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Loki, Moon Knight, and WandaVision.
Yeah, I think we all can pretty consensus is WandaVision was the best for sure. So movie-wise, my dead last was Black Widow. No surprise there. And then Eternals, actually. Those two were just kind of, whatever. Not bad movies, just kind of there. And then actually have Multiverse of Madness, followed by Thor Love and Thunder. And then my top 3 is very hard. Very hard. But I actually put Wakanda Forever at 3, Shang-Chi at 2, and then No Way Home is my number 1.
Ours are really close. Like one spot is different. And that's it.
What we got?
This is Black Widow, Eternals, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, Shang-Chi, Wakanda Forever.
I mean,
No Way Home.
It's very hard, right? It's very hard because you can.
I mean, I could put Wakanda. It depends on the day. I would put Wakanda Forever probably 1.
Agreed.
Sometimes.
Agreed. That's fair.
Depends on the day.
Fully agree. Lauren, now when I was reading Lauren's, I was worried, but now seeing how she put them in order.
Because I had them in backward.
We're good. So what are yours?
So I defend Eternals, and I will defend it till the end of the day, but Eternals was my least favorite. And then Thor, and then Multiverse, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, Wakanda Forever, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Wow.
I respect it. Black Widow above Shang-Chi is a choice, but I respect it.
It was a hard choice. I'm not going to lie. This was not taken lightly.
Yeah,
fair.
That's fine.
Fair.
So that's it, guys. We wrapped up phase 4. Phase 5 is going to get pretty crazy.
KANG TRAIN.
Yep. Kang's coming. Ant-Man and the Wasp is about to come out. So Sean, as we wrap this up, go ahead, tell everybody one more time where they can find you.
Yes, Metalcore Nerds. You can find it on Adobe Howl every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Go to adobe.com or download the Adobe app. I'm actually starting to write articles for Adobe, so you can check those out on adobe.com as well. Really cool stuff coming there. And then just metalcorenerds.com. You can buy this awesome KANG TRAIN t-shirt that I'm wearing, and there's an awesome print behind me if you're watching this.
I got one.
Yeah, you do. You got it. And so yeah, show up to Quantum Mania in style. KANG TRAIN.
Yes.
All aboard. And then yeah, just search Metalcorenerds wherever you find podcasts. Easy.
Right on.
And thanks for having me on again, guys.
Dude, anytime. We didn't do phase 5 predictions here. Maybe that'll be a different episode.
Should we all real quick throw out one person we think is going to die?
I think Hank Pym dies in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay,
I think Scott gets stuck in the quantum realm again.
Yes.
That's my guess.
I think Rocket dies. Drax dies.
Don't do
Sorry.
this.
Okay, I'm done.
Drax is dying as well. Yeah, I'll put that.
I know it's coming, but I'm not prepared.
No.
My big theory is Thor is going to die in one of the Avengers movies, and it's going to happen as a reverse of Infinity War, and I will be hurting very badly.
I heard your theory on that, and I think that would be a beautiful way for him to go out.
I think so too.
So
not ready.
There you have it, folks.
No.
Let us know your phase 5 predictions. Let us know what you love the most. As always, subscribe, follow us, Hops Geek News, everywhere you can find a podcast. And until next time, cheers, guys.
Cheers.